into a conversation this morning, and it's someone's birthday. And we're going to get into that in just a minute. We'll tell you whose birthday it is and what we're going to be talking about today. Two gentlemen join us today for this conversation, and we're getting into it this morning around Naivas at 35. Peter Mukuha is the Chief of Operations at Naivas, and Tim Kajume is the Chief Human Resource Officer at Naivas. Good morning, gentlemen, to you both.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Karibu Sana, how are you doing?
Very well, and thank you for having us.
Well, thank you for coming. It's great to have you here. I mean, good friends of ours, and always, and it's taking a moment to celebrate. So first of all, happy birthday.
Thank you.
We say that. You should say happy birthday to a person, but we can say it to Nivas. Why not? Isn't it?
Yes.
So thank you for being here this morning. So our birthday gift to you is to share a proverb with you that Dennis will do.
Yeah.
And then, it's a gift that keeps giving, because then you can give us your interpretation of the same.
Yeah, the proverb comes from Nigeria, a country with a population of around 230 million people, over 250 ethnic groups. You talk about Nigeria, talk about the music, how it's jamming in Kenya, You talk about the movies, Afro cinema, whenever you leave your home and maybe you have a nanny, when it's their relaxing time, Afro cinema is all they do. Then talk about every Rorashio, what do you see? Nigerian kangas and whatnot doing the thing. So a lot of influence, especially in the continent. Also, let's not forget that they are the biggest economy in the continent. But let's go to the proverb, shall we? Right. Water doesn't go bad unless it has salt. Water doesn't go bad unless it has salt. You deal with salt every day. How would you interpret that?
That's an interesting one. Peter, you want to try?
Remember, your interpretation is never wrong. It's your interpretation, yeah.
Water doesn't go bad
unless
it has
salt.
Salt in water could be a contaminant. So, just trying, So, if something is good, unless it's contaminated by an external thing, then it goes bad. My simple interpretation.
Yeah, just along those lines, I think there are situations that you look at. You don't expect something to just go bad or somebody to just be bad overnight. So I think when people say, so what happened to so and so, and if you use that and say water doesn't go bad unless
there's salt.
It means there must have been, as Peter says, an external factor or something that contributed to that. Yeah.
There must be an external factor that contributed to it.
Yeah, it's not in the natural. It's not its natural state for it to be bad.
To be that way.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's great that you're both here. So thank you for doing that. And let's taking a look at the Nivas journey. We all walk into a Nivas, every other day, and we're getting into the weekend. So just imagine that you can get your shopping done. But then here we are celebrating 35, and that's some of the things that we normally do. Then when we gather around for a birthday party, right? Everybody is asked to say what you know about this person, say what you know, what your experiences have been, and what kind of blessings you're going to heap on them. 1, 2, 3. So let's kind of do the same thing, shall we? But let's look at the Nivas journey and tell us a little bit about how we got here from little bits and bobs in a small room to 35 years later and over 100 outlets around the country. Tell us a little bit about that journey. We can start off with you, Peter.
Thank you. The Nivas journey started precisely 35 years ago. I think we are actually 35 this July. And it started in a small town in Rongai, whereby a few siblings came together. And the main reason as to why they wanted to start a business was just to better their lives, for subsistence, nothing much. They just wanted to be better people, take their kids to schools, be able to wear a pair of shoes. That was it. And that's how the idea was born. But eventually, they realized that there is a bigger potential. Not just among us themselves, but also in the market. And they all wanted to give that opportunity to other Kenyans. And that's how they decided, you know what, instead of just operating one store, we can go to a second store.
Right.
And that's how the second store was born in a very small town called Elbagon in Nakuru. I think the population of, I think by then, maybe less than 3,000 by then.
Yeah.
So that was 4 years later, 1994. 2 years later, 1996, I think the first business in Rongai started performing poorly. So they had to close shop in 1996 for the first business that they started in Rongai. But again, an opportunity came to open a store in Naivas in 1996. So from 1996, I would say the store in Naivas was now the proper supermarket, whereby you have aisles. The rest were dukawaras, whereby it's over the counter here and there, being served by the same person who is the cashier, the same person who is the manager, and all that. So multitasking and all that. So the Naivas store was more structured, not big for those who understand sizes, about 3,000 square feet, still quite small. So they continued with their journey, and I would say they were very focused from there, and they had a vision. And the vision was at some point to be the leading retailer in this country. And not just to be a leading retailer, they had a very bold vision to be the consumer brand of choice. Those days, that's in 1996. So they continued working hard until 2001. That's when they opened their first store in Nairobi. That's Ronangala Street. And by then, it was called Naivas Self-Service Stores.
Oh, wow.
So you can tell where the name Naivas comes from.
Yeah.
It comes from the name Naivas. And it was quite tough coming to Nairobi. If you remember, then there were established players. We had the likes of Uchumis, by then, the Nakumats, the Tuskys, the Koalas. They had multiple branches. And I remember by then the market was also small. In Nairobi. So coming from the village and coming to open a store in Nairobi was a big deal, very big deal. And I would say it was difficult because, of course, suppliers could not just give someone from the village goods on credit for you to grow. So it was quite tough. But with the core values that the founders had set, the trust, the integrity, the respect, I think they carried that with them, and they put that as the foundation of the business. So suppliers could trust them, and they could keep their word. They could pay on time whenever they agreed with the suppliers, and that story continued. But in Nairobi, business became quite tough, and we could not get premises. Getting a premise was again quite expensive, and but we realized that there are other towns outside Nairobi. For instance, the Machakos, the Kituis, Eldoret, outside Nairobi, outside the big city. So our MD decided, we can't survive here for long. I would rather go back to where we started.
Yeah.
And I remember at one time we almost closed the Nairobi store because it became quite difficult. We could not pay rent, and we could not pay our employees. So, but we carried on. So we opened the Machako store in 2004, and I'll say it has been, a growth path since then. And I attribute these, to the trust and confidence and loyalty that we have with our consumers. The support that we have gotten from our suppliers, you can't downplay that. The ethics, the teamwork that we have, and the sacrifice from our front foot soldiers, our employees who serve you each and every day at the store level. That has been our growth path. I would say
those core values.
Sure.
When you talk about Eldoret, I remember the Trocadero store. I used to study in a burnt forest, pretty much, and the Trocadero store branch was where I used to shop back in the days. But when you talk about how the growth has happened at a very fast pace, but still maintained the local and the Kenyan identity. I mean, just how critical is it for the business for you to maintain that identity that Kenyans and would just say, hii ni yetu, team, hii ni yetu?
I'll want to extend from where Peter has left off. I mean, how more Kenyan can you be, if not the Nivas story? That whole, because that story of how Nivas grew is how most Kenyan businesses have grown, is how most people, majority of us grew, and the kind of associations that we've had. The other thing that has been there is the family value that Nivas was built on. And not just family in terms of the founding family, but the family ethics, the family principles of trust, respect, being there for one another. And those are the values that over the years Nivas expected from employees. And even as they continued to grow, they picked people with certain values to be in the business. And we've had people in the business for that long. We've had people in the business for more than 20 years, some close to 30 years. And again, one of our core values that we have is what is called Nivas Kilokol. What that means is that everything that we do, we have to look at, are we being true to our community? Are we being true to our roots? And because we are a Kenyan business, it's just that we have an international outlook, an international appeal. We want to do things from an international, but we try to localize things in such a way that we still have that Kenyan identity, because we are proud Kenyans. We still believe that there's a lot of potential in this country, and we also want to grow and partner. And if you've seen the numbers that have been there, not only in terms of how the number of employees that we have, but also when you look at the entire value chain, the kind of suppliers that we work with, could be manufacturing, could be farming, could be in supplies. We believe in growing the Kenyan economy. And for us, that is a fundamental thing for us, being true to that Kenyan story.
Right.
Yeah.
And growing the economy, sometimes it's not this, we expect to see huge turbines or huge manufacturing, but if we are saying growing the economy, then you've done that quite something with 12,000 employees, under the belt. How have you been able to do that and grow a workforce so large and keep them happy, if they are? Then you can confirm if they're happy.
I would want to believe they're happy. So when you ask how we've done that, so of course, with growth, then it is inevitable that, especially in this service industry, we have to get people to man the stores, to serve our customers, because it's a very personalized service. We say retail is more about the experience, all right? When you come into any of our shop, the experience that you get is what makes you come back. And so for us, it's about our staff and the experience that they give. How have we grown? Number one, and I know Peter will probably talk about this at some point, in terms of how we've managed to grow sustainably. But for every store that we open, we have to get people in that store. Now, remember, there is not just the front line. We have people at the front line, but then we also have people who support. There's a whole chain that supports, be it from the people doing the sourcing in commercial, to the people who do the supply chain, from warehousing to moving the goods to the stores, to other support functions like HR, IT, legal, finance, and so on and so forth. What is big for us is the attributes of our staff. Because we believe, and as we said, there's what we call the Nivas way. So when you come into Nivas, there are certain values that you have to quote unquote comply with in terms of being an employee of Nivas, because that is what makes us Nivas.
Yeah. So you look at your employee staff, 12,000, and then on the other side, we have Kenyans who are your customers, a very integral aspect with the entire business in ensuring that you continue to grow. But then again, how do you ensure that the staff and customers are connected to enrich the Nivas dream?
I think to begin with is we promote a very customer-centric culture. Secondly, I would say that we have always devolved authority to the branch level, whereby we've given authority to our staff, our staff and our branch managers to make certain decisions. They don't have to escalate everything. So that keeps them connected to the consumer. When I talk about a customer-centric culture, it's not just about the value you offer in pricing. No, it's about how is a customer treated from the moment they get into our doors. Are they greeted? Are they shown the way around the store? Is the store clean for them to shop? Are they finding everything that they want under one roof, the best quality? So, and it goes on until the point a customer exits. How are you served at the till? Are you taking a longer time? Are you seeing queues and the other tills that are open? So those small things that we try to switch and make them work for the customer also brings together our staff and the customers. The quick feedback that we have implemented at the store level. Whereby if there's an issue, the staff are able to sort it out immediately. And I think those elements assist us in bringing us together. Plus the community work that we do. We do a lot of community work. Our branches have actually adapted a specific CRS activity in their locality. So with that, they keep them grounded, and since they're serving the same customers, that they are assisting in other social ways, so they keep that connection.
Fantastic. Looking at the Nivas Journey and celebrating Nivas at 35, and then just going through the intrigues of how it has actually gotten to the point where 35 years old in the business is no mean feat. It is not. It's not something that you can just stand up and say that I did. And we're looking at the elements that allowed Nivas to be able to do that, and I think it's great because we can celebrate it. But you know what? It's also a learning experience for others in the business, isn't it?
Spice.
Of them here with us this morning and looking at the journey since 1990 to 2025, and we've of course done some background and looked into so what got us here, how have we been able to navigate these waters, and so then we want to then say we've done, but now going forward in terms of operations, Peter, and saying that what does it look like when you say we struggled? You told us about how you had to think about even closing one store down, but then with some resilience and the core values that you mentioned coming through the next 25 years, 30 years, 35 years, there's got to be something, and you don't want to go back. You want to maintain and do better. So how do you maintain that operational excellence where you say nothing can fall off the rack? We had no pun intended, but you have to keep going. How do you do that?
First of all, we are operating in a very dynamic. Ours is a very dynamic industry. We also operating in a very thin margin, high volume business. So for us, efficiency and operational excellence is no question. Because for any efficient task that we do, we are able to put that coin either to the consumer through pricing or even to our staff through better remuneration. But the most important thing is that we understand and we know that the market is going to continue evolving. So what we've done is, we're evolving with it. We are investing in technology whereby we are putting a lot of money in our ERP to make sure that it takes us to the next phase. And what that means is that, we are simplifying our processes and going into the details so that you understand what that means. Our ERP is supposed to do a lot of things, whereby we remove the manual and decisions that are made by people. For instance, when it comes to ordering of products, in the next couple of months, we are going to fully automate that and make it a decision that is made by the system, not the people. Because currently, sometimes, when we use our category managers to order, they might make decisions based on their experience on not following the late rules. And, there are various risks that comes with that. One is stockouts in the stores, whereby now you're not living to your promise of, available always to your customer. Secondly, a lot of overstocking, which again ties your cash flows, your working capital to that. So those small elements that we are improving, whether it's on our optimizing our supply chain to make sure that we are fully mechanizing our warehouse to bring about that efficiency of goods movement from the supplier to the store. We also investing a lot in our staff to ensure that we continuously promote these customer relations, service culture. And with that, I think we are binding ourselves and we are reinforcing ourselves for the next phase of growth. Of course, we know competition will change, but we are prepared for that.
Yeah.
Now, you see, when you talk about efficiency, there is always the aspect of we want to do business better, but there's always the personalized feel that a customer wants to feel that they're used to on a daily basis. So then one goes to ask the question, how do you then get to balance efficiency with the personalized services and customer feel that they are used to? Because I remember anytime I walked into Prestige, there is a gentleman called Imran, and would smile, talk a lot, and guide me through everything, including give me options. We can deliver. You just do your thing. So, efficiency vis-a-vis personalized feel. How do you balance that? Tim, yes.
It's and Peter will help me on this. It's a balancing act. But first of all, we are able to first of all, we have to understand our customers. We have to understand the needs and the preferences of our customers, and based on that, then we are able to set standards. And that is what Peter is talking about, customer excellence, operational excellence, because we've been able to understand, anticipate the needs of our customers. Then we're able to put those standards, and that is what we train our staff in terms of what is required. Now, you have to understand that there is what you'd have the majority. Of course, then there are those outliers where you've got a bit of personalized service here and there. And yes, those requests do come. And yes, there is always that familiarity because you go to a certain store and our staff know you. Of course, then they will tend to give you a little bit more of a personalized service. But we try to encourage that all our staff, all our customers are equal. All our customers deserve that excellent service. We talk about providing world-class shopping, affordable world-class shopping experience. And every single day we encourage our employees to think, have I provided world-class shopping experience to our customers? Peter, I don't know whether you'd want to add anything to that.
Yeah, I would say we for us to bring that connection, we also use technology. We have real-time data and insights on our customers, and that's going beyond understanding them. And we use tools like Mystery Shopper just to understand, get the feedback. How are we doing? Where can we improve the service? Where can we improve, whether it's on our range, such stuff.
Okay. So then even as you look at this, it's clear that there's a plan. And then when you then say, okay, it's the Nivas operates as Nivas, but then it also operates in a network in the country. in the, and wherever else that you want to go. So when you talk about partnerships and when you talk about strategy, how do you balance best practices around the world with then what you can inculcate here in Kenya, with loyalty to Kenyan suppliers, for example?
Well, I think we also need to define what best world class is and what is relevant to our market. And I'll give you an example. I think when you look at our stores, we have a strategy on giving the fresh. When we walk into our stores, the first thing you find is fresh fruits and vegetables, fresh bakery, fresh butchery, and all that. So we are working closely with our farmers. And for you to bring that world class, you need to set up expectations. You need to tell that farmer, I need the quality of my tomato to be like this. And we've done that. We've invested with a lot of farmers to be where we are. If you walk into our stores, our fresh section, you could compare it to a world class, any supermarket wherever you go in Europe, it's the same. Secondly, we work with SMEs, and not just to try and scale them up. No, it's trying to advise them, trying to guide them in ways of how they can produce goods that meet the standards that our customers need. Yeah. So it's about working with the suppliers, the SMEs, the farmers, guiding them, literally investing money with them to make sure that whatever we are producing meets a world-class standard. Yeah.
And then I just thought about that when you say, so things like traceability, when you talk about, your suppliers and how you can, because this is life, things happen. And if you needed to trace back, for example, where a particular product came, if there was, ever an issue, does that help in that process where because you want to ensure that whatever is on the shelf or whatever is on the display is, of, optimum, efficiency, or how do you put in systems like that, traceability systems, for example, ensuring that you can go back?
So I'll give an example of our butchery, our central butchery. We've heavily invested in a central butchery, whereby all the carcass that we buy is brought in there. So we have defined, first of all, the quality. We've defined how it should be brought in terms of the temperatures that we receive. And we have put in processes to make sure that it's fully automated from when it gets to the door to when it gets to the store. So we have a process and checks and balances to make sure that is met. So going back, we already know who supplies us. We have specific suppliers that we are working with. So in our butchery, I can assure Kenyans that we have 100% traceability from where that meat is coming from. How that cow has been brought up, what kind of vaccines and injections that have been. We can do that. Where we are working with, because again, it's not very organized, it's on the fruit and veg section. So we're also investing in aggregation, whereby before we pick you as a farmer, and you want to supply us, we must go to your farm. We must see what are you doing, what are your processes. Are you using the right pesticides? Are you using the right methods to grow your plants? And we audit you. We also do follow-up audits to make sure that you're consistently doing that. I would say we are not yet there at the moment, but it's work in progress. We are centralizing that so that all our fruit and veg will also be coming from one place, so that we implement that issue of traceability.
Now, you talk about business and how things are moving, and innovation is key, and if you look at how even you're doing business, your online presence is really amazing. One just gets to get in, see what there is, shop and all that. But now let's talk about the partnership philosophy and how you get to partner with those your suppliers and whatnot, and how that then goes into influencing innovation that Naivas is now putting in place to be able to reach more Kenyans in an efficient way and in a way that we feel it's local. This is ours.
So we believe that we cannot grow if our partners are not growing. If we grow, our suppliers, our partners are also growing. And we have seen that because that investment, as Peter alluded to earlier, when you come in as a supplier or a partner in any way with Naivas, it's for the long term. We believe in long-term sustainable partnerships. So as we are growing as a business, because these are the same partners and suppliers who have enabled us to grow. So we also see them growing, and we invest backwards in terms of the standards, the technology, the innovation. So as we are upping up our standards, our expectations, we also take back that to the people that we work with in terms of supplies, in terms of partnerships and so on, and we ask them that they need to up. We've had suppliers who've been with us for decades, who some of them started supplying the business almost 20 years back, or offering certain services, and they're still with us, but they have grown. Some, you see, they start as small suppliers or small manufacturers. They get listed into Naivas, and within a few months to 1 year, they have to scale up, whether it is their production or the quality or that, because of the expectations that we have. But our philosophy is, as we grow, our suppliers or partners must also grow in tandem.
And just in connection with that, sometimes, I think a lot of times, that as an entity gets bigger and bigger, the assumption then is that efficiency then drops. So the team is growing, the partnerships are expanding, and you're able to do a bit. 100 plus, what is it now? 110 outlets is not a joke.
Yes.
How will you ensure that the efficiency that Peter spoke about in Naivasha 35 years ago to opening the next shop in Elbergen is the same idea? Those values is the same when you have 110, when you have 150. How are you able to ensure that growing, getting bigger?
So I think three things. Number one is the values, okay, and the values that we had from the beginning are the same values that we believe in, and these are the values that guide us in terms of how we do business. Because when you don't have the right values as you set up business and as you grow in the business, then you get sidetracked. Number two is processes. You have to perfect your processes. And processes come with standards. So you have to define those standards that we talked about. And our standards have been increasing. Now, the standards that we had when we had 10 stores are not the same standards. So as you grow, then your standards must also grow with you or increase, because then the level of oversight also has to increase. But the other key thing is staff. The investment that you do in your people, because at the end of the day, it is the people that make the business grow. So the investment that we have in the people, first of all, it starts with getting in the right people, identifying the right talent, developing this talent in terms of investing in them, in terms of growing them, in terms of training them, and so on and so forth, being able to reward and remunerate them well and recognize them well, because it is our staff who stand up for us. They are our first brand ambassadors. These are the people who will tell you, Nivas has the best of this. Yes. In fact, for most of them, when we have offers, they're the first ones to actually send out those offers to their friends and relatives and say, these are the offers that we have, these are the promos that we are running. So I believe with that combination, so is what has enabled us to grow, and is what is going to enable us to become better as we continue to grow bigger as a business.
And maybe just to add to what Tim has just relayed, I think technology has also come to help us. Nowadays, we're able to set certain KPIs, and you're able to monitor them, and you're able to realize gaps early. So for us, we monitor the performance of our branches weekly. So unlike when we had one store whereby, we were just using manuals and all that, right now technology is assisting us. Secondly is setting standards and being able to audit those standards and giving accountability. So as we grow big, we set certain standards, we're able to audit them, and people are held accountable to those standards. That keeps the growth and the efficiency even better as we grow big. Yeah.
So, Peter, you look at the rapid expansion that has happened. 110 stores later is not an easy feat, and one would say it is mega project that continues to happen, and with the hope of even growing further. But with that comes the lessons. Along the way, it has not been easy. It is through putting systems together in making sure that you achieve what you've achieved so far. So what would be the biggest lessons? And if one would ask, how would you do it differently?
I think one of the biggest lessons I've learned is that with proper financing and all that, you can open more stores faster than you're growing your people. So you'll find that Peter, whom I'm responsible for locations, I'm getting more locations faster than I'm able to get the good managers, good leaders in those locations. And that's why we are working closely with team here, putting a good pipeline of good leaders so that we know how many stores we are going to open. So we have a pipeline of leaders who are going to come and take over those stores. And this, secondly, what I've also learned is that gaps increase with scale. So if you had 5 gaps when you had 5 stores, and you don't take care of those gaps, and now you have 50 stores, you have 10 times the problem. So as you grow, I think you need to close all the gaps, all the loopholes. And if you cannot, scale down your growth until you feel comfortable that you've gone in there. I think the third learning is culture dilution. And especially, I've learned that the hard way since I think we've grown too fast in the last 4 years, whereby we keep on bringing new people into the business, and without proper training, without proper induction, it tends to dilute your culture. And again, that we are working very closely with team, laying out training structures to make sure that all the values are embedded into our employees. Yeah.
So, here we are 35 years later, and you just mentioned in that last statement that last 4 years grew too fast, but then still is there a hope to be then in more locations? And I guess this is one for both of you. Is there a hope to be in more locations around the country?
Definitely.
The region?
Definitely. There's still a lot of potential in this country. But now you have to be more scientific in terms of the locations that you choose, where you're opening, and again, in terms of also financing. And again, you have to pause and also reflect back and see what did we do well, what did we not do well as you move to the next step. So we normally have a target of how many stores we can open in each year, we every year we sit back and ask ourselves, did we do it the right way? What were the lessons learned? And in the next year, financial year, as we are opening other stores, what can we do differently? And that big responsibility, thanks to Peter, is the one who does most of our expansion. And I know he always believes in the potential in this country.
So, Peter, when you look at the business the way it is, it is one would say it's a marriage between the business and Kenyans, right? So every time you have an opportunity through the feedback mechanism to just hear what Kenyans, your customers, have to tell you, what do they say?
I think mostly has been positive. The value that we offer in terms of pricing, I don't think anyone beats us to that. The personalized customer service you just mentioned,
Imran
in Prestige. The range we offer, And I think customers are quite happy with our fresh section, the fruit and vegetables, the bakery, the meat. So those are the kind of feedback that we get. Yeah,
it's great to hear, and congratulations, definitely. And always when you see that there is local, and that's it, Naivas Ki local, that is local, it's grown here, it's built here, it continues to strive and survive here. That the hope is that this remains and will be a model for a lot of other businesses that are grown here. So congratulations. And of course, the last question is, keki tunakula wapi? Tim Kajume is the Chief Human Resource Officer with Nivas, and Peter Mukuha, Chief of Operations at Nivas. Thank you so much for being here this morning.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.